I know lots of you are interested in hip mobility videos, hip mobility classes, increasing hip mobility. And it's important because we sit so much and we all need it. But I get a little bit frustrated with all the videos on YouTube that say 2 minutes hip mobility, 5 minutes hip mobility. It's not possible to really do mobility training in only 5 minutes because mobility is always the range of motion that you can actively control. Flexibility is what is accessible passively, so with gravity, with some support or something. So mobility training always needs to be active. You always need to contract. It's really challenging, it's really hard, really uncomfortable, but this is the right way to do it, to train the nervous system, to give you more range of motion and to also be able to control this range of motion. And lots of these videos that say 5 minute hip mobility are just stretching. You're activating a little bit, you're stretching here and there, but it's not mobility training. And this is also not a video on hip mobility. For that, I have many videos in the mobility playlist that you can check out. And yes, there's also some videos for hip mobility, for flexion, extension, external rotation, internal rotation, and combinations of those, but they are not 5 minutes. It's not possible to do 5 minute hip mobility training, especially for both sides. So what I want to share with you today is, for one, this, so that you can be a little bit more informed, and two, a short hip activation practice. So there will be some active stretching, there will be some ballistic stretching, there will be some passive stretching, there will be in all kinds of directions we will move. It's gonna help with your range of motion, but it's not mobility training, because mobility training is pretty much strength training for the joint. It's very active and very challenging, and for that you can check out the other videos. For today's class, you don't really need a mat even. I just have it here so I know where I'm at with the cameras. But on the carpet, on the wood floor, in the grass, in the sand is fine. We will just do a little bit for the hips, to feel into the hips, a little bit of activation, a little bit of flexibility, passive range of motion. Let's get started in a low lunge with the right leg forward. And from here, we tuck the tailbone a bit under, so we feel a bit more into the left front hip. And we start to bring both hands onto the right knee and just move forward a bit where you feel a good sensation, and breathe into that. And you start to move forward and back. And you notice as you move forward, the tissue is tensioning, and so when you let go, there's like a little bit of a bouncing back. And so we want to move forward into it, but then the body is automatically bouncing back, and we go for about 10 of those. Great. From here, we heel toe out, we come into a lizard lunge. You can keep the knee on the ground or lift it up. It's a little bit of a different angle. Different angles is always important. Move the hips around. And you also have to be careful with these asymmetrical poses, especially lizard lunge and pushing yourself really deep. It can be a lot for the hips, especially for the sacrum and for the SI joint. You just gotta be careful there. And then we start to again move up and down with the hips a bit. And as you go down, you feel this tensioning again, and then almost this like springing back, recoiling, bouncing back up. And we kind of want to find this bounce rhythm and then bounce a little bit there for about 10. Great. Come onto your fingertips. We move the hips back, straighten both legs as far as you can. And then again, bend the front leg, lower the hips, open the front body. Maybe look straight ahead, and again, straighten the legs, send the hips back. Another 3 of those. In your own time, this is even faster. Great. Now we come into a 90-90 position. So we bring the right leg to the front at 90 degrees between the thigh and the shin. And the left leg that you cannot see so well is also at 90 degrees. This is definitely the more challenging position. If this is too much, then just bend the legs more. From here, we lean over the right thigh, over the right knee. You can come onto your fingertips. You can also use blocks. Lean down. This is now a bit more external rotation in the right hip. Of course, the left hip is an internal rotation, and we also are here in flexion of the right hip. And if you want to go a bit deeper, you can move the upper body towards the right foot. And then maybe go left and right. So I see this more of a feeling into the hip and activating and waking up the hip or the hips. And you can also lift the hands up, so you make this more of an active stretch. So once you're at your deepest position, you can lift up and hold here. So this is a bit more active. Not quite mobility training yet, but it's at least a contraction here and active. And then you release. You can do more if you want, but I just want to show you real quick a few exercises. Then you push yourself up and you lean back into the left hip. A bit of a stretch for internal rotation in the left hip here. And I have some other hip mobility videos, other hip activation practices like this one also available. You can check those out. I put some more links in the description below. And then we release, bend the knees, and we come back to a low lunge, this time with the left foot forward, so the other leg. Give it some time to open up, especially in the right hip. We just did flexion and external rotation. Now we're doing a bit more extension on the same side, so the right side might feel a bit heavier, older, a little bit more stiff, but it's okay, it's opening up. And we lean forward and back, just moving into it. Try to keep the tailbone tucked so you can really lengthen in there. And then we find this bouncing sensation where the connective tissue, the fascia, is kind of bouncing us back. And we do about 10 of those. And then heel toe the left foot out for lizard lunge position, right knee up or down, you decide. And move around first. And then we move the hips up and down. Start to find that rhythm again where you can bounce for about 10. Great. And release. And we come into a 90-90 position. The left leg forward, right leg back. 90-degree angle or less. And we lean forward over the left leg, over the left knee. And we're holding ourselves here, so now gravity is doing it. This is flexibility. This is passive range of motion. Mobility is always active. And usually your active range of motion is less than your passive. And the goal is to close that gap with mobility training, which this is not, and it's not possible in 5 minutes. And then lean over towards the foot if you want to change the angle a bit. And if you want to make it active, lift the hands up. Just an active stretch. Push yourself up. And bring the hands behind you. Lean into the right hip now. Internal rotation for the right hip. And I also don't like these people that just criticize others, and not criticizing anyone directly. I'm just telling you, this is, it's not possible. Anyway, I do have videos how you actually do real hip mobility. So I'm not just complaining and not offering a solution. The solution has been on the channel for like 2 years already. So it's already there, it's nothing new. I just thought I'm going to spread some more awareness because I see a lot of people are interested in the topic, and it's good. Keep going and watch the videos and learn. But gotta do it right. So hopefully you're feeling that here in the right hip, internal rotation. Great. And we finish with something symmetrical, butterfly. I'm just going to rotate this way. Bring the soles of the feet together. Grab the feet, fold down. Just allow the upper body to round and relax, chin a bit more towards the chest. So you're not only opening the lower body, but also the upper body. At least the superficial backline. Push yourself up. And I recommend to do a few back bending positions if you want to kind of counter all this flexion we did. But let's do one reverse tabletop. Lift the hips up and just move forward and back with your hips. And set the hips down. I hope you're feeling good and you learned a little bit in this video. Keep going with your practice, keep learning, keep growing. It's always good to have this open beginner mindset about everything. But there's a lot of conflicting information out there. Everyone has a great thumbnail, a great title. This one tip that you must know about hip mobility or handstand or whatever it is. There's usually no one tip that you need to know. You're usually on track and it's just a lot of practice. And learning from different sources is good, but it needs to be right. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Much love and gratitude. And I'll see you very soon again on the mat. Hopefully tonight or tomorrow. Much love and gratitude. Namaste.